Hi, this is Sybil Harmony, and this is my story about my communication and vision of Jesus. So I'm not religious, and in my book, White Rainbows, you can see the being under the tree. I said this was Melchizedek. Melchizedek is an earlier incarnation of Jesus. And the Christos is a group of beings that have been here for the Christ, that have been here for a long time. There are many different gurus and masters, and I actually don't know who all they are, but I know they're a group of powerful beings, and Jesus was one of them. And I have in my book here the story in the first paragraph about me meeting him and seeing white rainbows on a hill. But what it doesn't say that I saw Jesus, it says that I saw Melchizedek, because the women in my writing group were saying, I didn't know you were a Christian. And I'm not really a Christian. I'm more Gnostic. I'm more like the original teachings of Jesus, which were near the Dead Sea Scrolls from the Temple of Isis, which Mary Magdalene, I believe, was the teacher of Jesus. But we needed a man back then because we were in a patriarchal time. And so he became the prominent and was a very, very powerful and loving being, actually a person who walked the earth in a physical body, most of us believe. And so we are all God's children, which might be a woman, goddess. But anyway, to my vision, it started, I live in the hills in Northern California, and I walk. And I've been walking for years in the hills because when you're breathing oxygen, you're more connected to spirit. And when you're out in nature, it's easier, especially around bodies of water. But I wasn't really around bodies of water this time. There was a water tower nearby, but it wasn't, I don't feel like that played much of a role. And so I get messages like the ancient medicine women or the shamans get messages from nature. And that's the way before they had cards, they used to go out in the woods and communicate with animals or feel the visions. And every animal had a medicine, every plant, every crystal, every rock had a message. And so there are some decks of cards like the medicine cards by Sam and Jamie Carson, I believe. And there are many decks. Now there's herbal remedies, flower essence remedies, messages about crystals and what they're good for. And so humans have been doing this for a long time, going out into nature to connect with spirit. So I would walk up in the hill to get the messages for my clients for the day's readings and healings. And for myself, if I was having an issue, I would start off the walk by saying, tell me about this. And anyone can do that. Make it a practice. It helps to understand symbology. And I have, my book was edited and it's a little smaller. I wanted it to be like a 500 page or, 700 page, everything you ever wanted to know about healing encyclopedia with volumes 1 and 2 and whatever. But it's smaller, but I still have a lot of you can look up what certain things mean. If you see a hummingbird or you see a spider or you see this kind of tree, whatever your attention is drawn to, when you pray and you have intention for answers, and if you understand symbology, but you don't really need to understand symbology if you can just trust your intuition on what you're getting or what things mean to you. And so you have increased oxygen and you're out again in the negative ions and the energy of nature, so you can pick messages up. So that's how this started. I was walking in nature and I went up on this one particular hill one day and it was 2012. So everybody was saying, oh, that's going to be the end of the world, 2012. Not everybody, but some people were saying that. And really what it is an ending of the Mayan calendar, was the ending of a paradigm. The patriarchal, more religious paradigm, kind of kill or be killed, lots of wars, toxins, So Earth is coming into a new phase. We are still going to be using technology, but smarter technology, more groups, more female. That's why you have the Me Too movement, more actually helping people, not, being a planet of peace, actually not being racist or, misogynistic, or, and women can have a strong negative male side too. So I'm not against men or anything, but it's the new male and the empowerment of the feminine within all of us, which is the intuitive, the spiritual, the wisdom, the compassion, the more group orientated. And so we literally cannot go on this way that we have been in this paradigm, and it's literally turning into a wreck in front of us. But that's part of the shift of the consciousness. And what brings that shift, a lot of us have come here for, is the awakening of consciousness. And they call it woke or other things, like it's some kind of a weird label or something. But it's actually a physical and spiritual phenomena that we are shifting the consciousness. And so as each one of us shifts the consciousness, we help shift the world into a newer and better state. It's not going to be like a perfect utopia where we're all floating around like on the other side, but it will be a better world, a world that's in harmony with the earth, because the earth will correct itself. She's been doing that, and she will continue, because we are part. And actually Jesus was very connected to nature. So was Magdalena and the Temple of Isis. They were in harmony and balance. They were a feminine-based spirituality about compassion and healing. And they knew how to move energy. And so the reason I saw him in 2012 is because I was already talking to him. I was saying the Psalms 23rd prayer, which is also in my book, about the true meaning of that he gave me. And I just always felt really safe and comfortable. I know I've had past lives with Jesus. So my name, Sybil, is the Sibyls were the wise ones who told of the forthcoming. They would tell of future events and consequences of things and help people act as counselors or doctors or guides to people. And so there were many Sibyls around the time of the goddess, in, like there's churches now. But these Sibyls actually had power, not just telling people what to do or making them fearful and asking for money. They would actually be empowered, like a healer or a medicine woman. And hopefully they are ethical. So we all need to stay out of our egos when we're doing this work and walk a really ethical path, which is hard to do. And so anyway, that's why I saw Jesus up on the hill, because it was part of my awakening. Awakening is a process, not an event. And it's a process that we may have been going through many lifetimes. And you've been working on it for many lifetimes. So it's not one illness or one event or something, even though that can be a catalyst to bring us to our next stage of consciousness. Okay? So when people say that was my awakening, yeah, okay. And it's also an ongoing process. So in my process, and the Sibyls foretold, sorry, I didn't connect that. The Sibyls foretold of the coming of Christ, which would be this energy that actually gave people compassion and structure in its true meaning. And the way I've been trained is the way of Christ, the way of the Christos, which is how to change the physical, the emotional, the mental, the energetic vibration through the shifting of energy. So it's faith healing. It's maybe similar to a medicine woman, but it's an energy worker. That's what I've been trained in. So no surprise that he came to me. And if you want him to come to you, you can talk to him or whoever else you're wanting to talk to. And if you are following the guidance and walking the path of your spiritual, either whether you're meditating or you're chanting or you're doing yoga or you're changing your diet. And sometimes people just come in with this, like children who don't do that are already connected. And so everybody's connected to some higher being and some realm, unless you're not, or you're connected to a lower being, which there are people who really just want to do damage and they're hateful and they hate people. There are people here like that, but most people are not. Most people have, a shadow side, and the more we let go of our anger, our resentment, and our fear, and the more we forgive, and the more we get in touch with ourselves in a number of ways, like getting sober or getting on a better diet or letting go of addictions or gambling or overspending or being angry or being resentful or being, fearful, or which not really addiction, but something that can be healed. It can be healed energetically, or whatever it is you're, being in bad whatever it is that you're using to get out of yourself so that you come back to yourself, to your truth, to your light. And so most people are good people. Maybe they don't have good behavior. And even the worst of us is worthy of forgiveness. So that may be even the worst, most horrible serial killer, whatever, is possible to change. And that's their work. That's between them. It's not like we're here to fix people. Probably focus on yourself. But anyway, so I walked up on this hill one day, and there were all these clouds in 2012. I can't remember the month, but I walked through this like layer of clouds, and I've been up there before and seen, like one day I saw the goddess Ishtar, who I work with as well, and I'm part of her sisterhood, which was a Sumerian and Babylonian goddess, which is a whole nother story. But I saw her and her brother, and they were like 10 or 15 feet tall. I've seen the goddess Isis she's around like bees. I've seen her up there. But anyway, this day I walked through the clouds, like this layer of fog, and I went up on the hill and it was sunny. And then there were all these little white rainbows in the sky. And I was like, sometimes I don't know if I'm seeing an energy phenomena or if other people can see it, like it's a more physical thing. And so I was asking people, I'm like, do you see the white rainbows? There was like a whole bunches of little of them. Like, and so they said, yes. Isn't it amazing? And I was like, wow. So the next day I went up, and the same thing. I walked through these clouds, and I did it for like maybe 3 or 4 days or a week. I can't remember. At least 3 days, because there are things about numbers, and 3 is the number of Christ, because he's an ascended master. When you see 333, it's the energy of Christ, or the Christos. And so when you see a rainbow, it is an opening to another world. So the leprechaun said there was a pot of gold, and there really is a pot of gold, because it's information, knowledge, light, wisdom, energy, which is where everything physical comes from, first a vibration of energy. And so there were all these little white rainbows, and I knew there were openings and passage, like openings for beings to come from other dimensions, okay? So other beings have more advanced technology that it doesn't destroy planets, like the reptilian dinosaur energy that's in Earth that they made fossil fuel with, which is just kind of stupid that we use it and destroy our own planet with it. It's when there are other technologies. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they don't know, or they're lying. So anyway, I saw the rainbows, and on the third day, I just said, wow, that's so cool. It's amazing. And I should have taken a picture, but I was more really tuned into my clients and my work. And I just thought, I think I was not really conscious and aware. I'm much more awakened and aware now. So I just kind of walked through that. the fog again and went up, and the little rainbows were all up there. And I looked under a tree, and there was a being, like a light blue is how I see Jesus. So he comes on how you see him. And there he was under the tree, and it just kind of took me by surprise. And I looked, and he was there, and I just felt like this sense of like, I'm here with you. And I was like, okay. And so when I got home, before I saw my clients, I sat down and I did a meditation, and I asked him, because I can talk to him, and he's real easy to talk to. Now I work more with the Magdalena energy, who I see as everything is vibrating in energy, so it's more like a pink. But anyway, so I said, why were you up there? And he said, you can ascend now. And so when we keep doing the next right thing, when we are listening to guidance and we keep doing the next right thing, we will be offered an initiation, a level. Oh, and I went to see this shaman, and that's a whole nother story. I was in her group years ago, and she was doing initiations where she would do a healing, and the people would start vibrating and fall on the floor, and oh my God, I'm getting initiated. And they said it was orgasmic, and it was like, and I asked her, could I have one? And she said, no, you haven't been meditating long enough. And I was like, but I do meditate. I've been meditating for years. Well, not her way. I haven't been meditating her way. But then there were other people who got up there who weren't meditating at all. And they had, so I feel like it was like this other weird thing with her. And I ended up leaving that group as well, because although she had a lot of information, I felt like she was really in her ego a lot, and she was competing with me. And she didn't like that I had a lot of the answers to the questions when I hadn't taken her course. I just knew stuff. So that was that's a whole nother story. So anyway, so he said, you can awaken. And my first thought was like he was saying I could die. I'm like, what are you saying? I can leave my physical body? And I went to this place of like, because tomorrow is guaranteed to nobody. Anybody can, we're just here temporarily. So anyway, I kind of had this flash of my life in front of me, and I started to cry because I felt like I don't want to go. I have too much to do. I have grandchildren, and I have work that I'm here to do, and I don't feel like it's my time. And so I said, can I please stay? And I felt like he smiled on me, that I got a yes. And then the next day when I went up on the hill, there was a young man with long, straggly brown hair and a beard and I'm like, he just jumped like he was jumping out of a tree. And I'm like, did that guy just jump out of a tree? And he looked like he did, most people are up there jogging or walking their dogs and they have exercise clothes. He did not have exercise. He had like some boots and some old kind of dirty clothes or something and straggly hair, but he looked kind of like Jesus, like I thought Jesus would look like. And I was like, is that Jesus? And I'm like, because this was a physical form. The other being was an energy, a light form, obviously a spirit. And so when I saw him in physical form, this man, I was like, I walked by him. I didn't really know what to say. So I just said, hello. And he said, hello, and walked by me. And I'm like, did he just jump out of a tree? Like, what's going on here? And because it was the same area where I saw Jesus before, like right in the same area. I'm like, what's going on? And so I asked my guides again, and they said, or I asked Jesus again, and he said, I am here with you. I am in each one of you. We are him. We are his children. We are God's children. And it's just a matter of turning our attention to our heart and our goodness and our wisdom and our compassion. And he's here in a homeless person. He's here in all of us. and he's in other people. So we were all a part of the Christos, and we are all here and like doing this together. And it's like I was saying, I don't want to go. I got some work to do here, please. And he said, okay, I'm here with you. So that's just one of my stories about my spiritual adventures. Some of them are so crazy. I don't like, people wouldn't even believe that. And I don't know that you need to, because it's like vitamins or exercise. You don't want to do like a 5-hour workout as if you've just been sitting on the couch for 5 years. You just do a little bit at a time. It's like I got spoon-fed my light, my energy. And that's why I had that connection. And I'm nobody special. And I'm just somebody who's devoted to my spiritual work. And you can too. Pass Earth course. Graduate from Earth course. And I would love to hear, I know other people who haven't done what I've done and just had spontaneous connections with Jesus, probably because it comes from a past life. But you can form connection with your higher self or with spiritual beings and have your own awakening and your own connection, however that shows up for you. And thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I'm going to pull 3 cards. I have this Jesus deck. This was Doreen Virtue's. It's Bible verses. And I just want to pull a few cards for people watching this video. All things whatsoever you ask in prayer, believing that you shall receive. So there you go. That's a Bible verse. Even though I feel like the Bible was edited, there's still basic messages in there that we can get from these beings. And so that's a beautiful one. And let's do 2 more. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. So that's about being of service and shepherding ourselves and others. And that's truly what his message was about. And then the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things. And so this is about, you have a Holy Spirit. So we are evolving to the Christos. We are evolving to the earth angels, to the goddess, to higher realms. And we all have a higher self. And the more we connect with that, the better we feel, the more we can create. All things can we do, like he did. And that's what I teach in my sessions and in my classes, which I'm going to be starting soon. I'll be making an announcement soon. But please like and subscribe. It really helps me get my videos out there. Leave comments and questions if you want to ask about something, or any number of spiritual topics. And I also do political videos. All right, thank you. And I'm SibylHarmony.com or Sybil Harmony on YouTube. Thanks.